This absolutely, by far, is going to be the hardest video that I've ever recorded my entire life. 30 minutes ago, before I came out here, decided to hit that button, record, I was just struggling desperately to keep my applesauce down. Just trying to keep it in. You might be asking why. What am I so upset about? What am I so nervous about? And I think most of you know that I've been in the camp of when Bitcoin went below 20K and we ended up going to about 15K. I've been one of those people saying this is probably one of the best buying opportunities. This is most likely the bottom. This is an insane opportunity. And there have been many other people that are in that same camp. But since then, for about the last year, I've been pretty bullish on Bitcoin. And after today, with the CPI coming out, I realized that I didn't make a mistake. I made a huge mistake. I've been bullish on Bitcoin when in reality, I should have been literally screaming from the rooftops about how bullish Bitcoin actually is. I should have been more bullish, and I regret that, right? I regret not being even more bullish. Today's CPI came back, core, pretty much every number came back about 1/10 lower than the expected numbers, further showing that inflation is cooling. And what did the market do? Because the market usually speaks for itself, right? Well, immediately, stock futures started soaring. The DXY has had its big red daily candle, potentially in the history of planet Earth. All more so in anticipation of what's coming here. I think for the past month or two, well, definitely for the past month or two, people have been of the opinion that we're probably done with rate cuts. We're probably done with rate hikes, and the next move that we'll see will be cuts. Whether or not that's, a month or two from now or 6+ months from now, putting us somewhere in like mid 2024 when we get our first cuts or something. But the point is, for the last couple of months, people have really felt, okay, we probably have experienced the worst of this, of these rate hikes, and the rate hiking cycle is probably coming to an end. And what that truly means is that, yes, the stock market is almost given a green light to give a little bit of a pump. The DXY, the US dollar, potentially has topped out. And historically, that has absolutely benefited Bitcoin. Because if you're very bearish on Bitcoin, there's one argument left that people still have about why the possibility of a Bitcoin going to sub 20K again could ever happen. And it basically relies on a gigantic economic collapse, a gigantic crash. We would need the stock market to get destroyed. We would need the dollar to start soaring. And today was almost as if the market told us it was the final nail in the coffin of that theory or that thesis, that idea, that it's most likely not super likely, if even possible. Now, as I always say, nothing's guaranteed. And so anything, right, technically anything could change. But the reason that the stock market, for example, the SPX up over 2%, right, soaring over 4,500 for moments, the DXY down almost getting into the 103 range. What that tells me more than anything is that, keep in mind also, Bitcoin not doing amazing today. Well, why is that? What that tells me more than anything is that the market, and myself, I think most people should be forward looking. And if we really zoom out and if we really want to try and get a clear picture of where we'll be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months plus, then the direction that today just showed us further evidence of where we're going is, to put it lightly, as bullish as possible. Now, keep in mind, the really bearish stock scenario started out at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, at basically the end of the Bitcoin bull market cycle period anyway. And now for the past 2 years, which we've also been in a Bitcoin bull market, the stocks have not been doing great, and we've had rates increase, and we've had further more and more constrictive or restrictive monetary policy. And you're telling me that that's all about to change? That the next moves from the Fed actually might be to cut rates, to potentially sometime in the future even start money printing again or something, and stocks are looking very good, the US dollar's looking very tippy-toppy, and you're telling me that somehow that's there's no way to paint that as a bearish scenario for Bitcoin. In fact, that's literally the most bullish scenario for Bitcoin possible, and it couldn't come at a better time. Now again, anything could change. The world could literally explode tomorrow, okay? So nothing is guaranteed. An asteroid could slam into the earth and blow us all to bits. But if things go the way that it looks like they're more likely to continue going as of today specifically, but also even the last 2 or 3 months, and you're telling me we might actually start seeing rate cuts literally within the same month or so as the Bitcoin halving, guys, I can only keep in a bus so long. And Bitcoin can only keep in a bus so long. So with that being said, I keep saying that anything could change because I want to highlight that, yes, anything could change, but if things go even 10% as good as it looks like it's going to be going, this will be a perfect storm, perfect scenario for Bitcoin that I honestly couldn't even imagine in my wildest dreams. Now, with that being said, Bitcoin is not necessarily up that much today. Why am I bullish then? Well, one, I've been saying since we got above 30K, I think we're going to have a retest of 30K at some point. So in my opinion, anything above 30K is already extremely bullish anyway, right? I'm extremely bullish as long as Bitcoin's above 30,000. We're a couple $1,000s above that right now, so believe me, I'm not bearish at all. We're gonna have a retest in my opinion. We're gonna pull back at some point in my opinion. That's not bad. In fact, it's healthy and it's good and it's exactly what you'd wanna see. But I mean, psychology usually overtakes people, and so people might get scared of that, even though they shouldn't be. But anyway, the point is Bitcoin's not really up that much today. In fact, it's not up, or at least it wasn't earlier. Throughout the day, absolutely possible that changes. But Bitcoin not really up that much. Stocks doing amazing, potentially are about to have their best week of the year, even though like last week or the week before, it was already an insanely good month so far for stocks. And you're telling me we have the potential to have even a crazier month for stocks and a worse and worse scenario for the DXY, which is exactly the opposite of Bitcoin in terms of correlation. If the DXY is crashing, usually Bitcoin's doing well. So you're painting me a picture that we're in potentially one of the most optimistic, if I had a wet dream that I perfectly described and I created it myself, this is what I would be creating. And you're telling me we might actually be getting the perfect wet dream? That's insane, right? And I see bears actually on like Twitter and stuff, or X, already trying to say like, wow, look at this. These numbers are made up, CPI numbers, which they probably are, but I mean, they're just reaching for straws to try to paint this picture of a 10K Bitcoin, which just absolutely looks completely bananas. And they're saying, well, look at Bitcoin down so much. Down so much from what, 37,000? Oh, it's at 36. Oh, it's at 35,000. And you're trying to tell me that's bearish. Come on. Reaching for straws at this point. These people are also the same people saying we should have bottomed right now, right? We should be at $3,000 right now. And where are we at, 37,000? I think reality is hitting people hard, and some people just refuse to accept reality. But the point being, this to me, wow. I personally think that Bitcoin is going to go on a nice run, even if somehow stocks are just trading sideways or, maybe not the strongest they've ever been. But if we're truly seeing a somewhat of a soft landing scenario, if we're truly seeing inflation actually maybe get under control without some disastrous effects, because there are projections showing that we might be able to get inflation under control without causing a massive recession. I don't know how much I believe that. Everybody has different opinions. Everybody on TV has different opinions that change every day. But the point is, there is a possibility that this scenario isn't as bad as the worst case scenario. In fact, it looks as though maybe it's even closer to one of the best case scenarios that we could have coming out of such a stressful 2 years, a very hard 2 years. Now, keep in mind, inflation is coming down a little bit. Is it easy to buy things? Absolutely not. It's still very hard out there. Inflation still feels horrible, and it will for probably at least another couple months minimum. But, you know, it takes time for like groceries and all that stuff to start reflect the trajectory if we start changing. So I think it's important to tell people like to be patient with that, because let's say inflation truly is coming down. That doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to be paying half for your groceries as you were last week. Okay, it takes time for all of that to start, for us to start seeing the effects of that. It's not immediate. But really, the takeaway here is, oh my goodness. I can only thrust so much before I bust. And I think Bitcoin would tell you the same thing if it could speak. And if we truly head into if we truly start seeing rate cuts, towards the beginning of 2024, if we truly start seeing the stock market, maybe, well, I don't know. I don't know the next time we'll put in new all-time highs for the stock market, but at least do well. As we head into the Bitcoin halving, my goodness, it is a recipe for bullishness. And the last thing I want to say is that if you really look over the last 2 years, have people been presenting doom and gloom scenarios over and over and over? Has it been pretty bearish? 1000%, guys. It's been bullish in my opinion for me, like I think a lot of people are realizing over the past couple of weeks. But what about the last 2 years? Have people been bearish? They have been the most bearish they could have been, right? We're literally talking, people are literally saying a $10,000, $5,000, $3,000 Bitcoin. You're talking about the lows of the last cycle. We're going back down to those lows. People are actually convincing other people that that's what's going to happen. So we've absolutely, I think a lot of people have miscalculated. I think a lot of people got way too bearish. And I think a lot of people forgot how quickly things can become bullish when a bull market comes around, combined with potentially a very good stock market. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I just don't think that I've been bullish enough.